Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am so pleased to welcome you here in this Solstice Gateway. What a remarkable time. We are talking today about truly living and anchoring in the Sacred Heart. Here on our planet at this time, it is of utmost importance. It is the way of New Earth, and it is the way of Lemuria. My guest today is beautiful Monica Bermudez, who is here as an intuitive quantum energy healer. She's a light language channel and a Lemurian high priestess. How beautiful to welcome Monica here as we talk about living in the heart. Hi, Monica. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me here. Such an honor to be on your show.
We are very excited to have you here. So I think one of the most popular questions that we get here is, how do we recognize when we're in our heart? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about ways that we can move into the heart. But let's start with why it's so important to be in the heart. Can you expand on that?
So I've been feeling the calling, mainly from Divine Mother, which we'll get into in the show, of getting more into our own heart center, because this is the key to our ascension. With all the chaos going on right now, everything that's been stirring as far as the pandemic, having all sorts of losses and amounts of grief piling up, is that, as the heart is taking on so much. But we're being asked to really step more into our own heart and really just tune in to focus more on the heart energy. And I'm not speaking of the human heart. This is more like beyond the human heart. This is like the higher components and the lower components of the entire heart center. That's what I consider to be the heart center. And when we tap into that wholeness of it, then we are tapping into the sacredness of our own heart. And this is the pathway into our higher divine connection with our own source connection, and what I also call the I am presence within us.
Yes, the connection to, otherwise known as the higher self, the wisdom that we hold within us truly is accessed through the heart. And so when we're there, there's characteristics that we're going to get into in this show in just a moment. And we just really can feel that need of being in the heart more and more. Because when we're in our head, it can get totally crazy. We can feel like we're gaslighting ourselves. So already we're beginning to feel a centeredness in the Sacred Heart Center. Before we go further, let's learn a little bit more about you. How did you come to channel light language? And how did you discover your Lemurian high priestessness?
So I feel like since I was little, I had such a deep connection to Lemuria when I read my first book. And I felt like that there was that partial awakening in me, that I felt that I had this really deep connection with this continent that doesn't exist now. And I felt it was very real, and it felt very alive inside of me until later on, when my biggest catalyst, my biggest turning point in life was my divorce. And in that divorce is when I felt that I thought that I had completed my life on this earth, So that's why, for me, the heart was the strongest focus first. It didn't start out that way, though, because I felt that I had done everything and completed my lifetime. And what really was going on was that I had completed that cycle. And so that's what I felt like it had ended. But my life would continue in a different version of me. And so I felt that, I needed to really work inside of myself. And I started to really work with my own patterns, like the karmic and the ancestrals, like really confronting every aspect, and as painful as it was. And even though I had like tons of like spiritual and mystical tools to like try to explore all these areas and clean up as much as I could, and I felt that I needed something much stronger. So I stumbled upon somebody who was channeling light language at the time. And so I said, well, why not? I'm gonna try it, work on it as a last, try anything at this point. And so at that point, when I cleared up so much of my own karmic and ancestral, it also brought up this layer of the light language activation. So I guess, what's happening here is like when we really dig inside our own karmic and ancestral patterns inside of us, it will also flourish our own spiritual gifts that are at the soul level. And so from there, when when that light language was activated inside of me and I started speaking it, it felt very nostalgic and it brought me to tears. And it's like these tears were so alchemical that it was also clearing more layers from me. And so, the more that I started working on it with myself first, I didn't try it on anybody yet. And then like much later when I went to Bosnia and I stepped on the Bosnian dragon pyramid, the dragons actually worked to polish that language. It turns out that I've been speaking an aspect of the dragon light language. So it does, goes into like tons of layers, so it just doesn't go through one layer, but it goes through like tons of them. And that's what the dragons have explained to me. But yeah, so that's how, I started and how I got into the light language is that the more that I worked on myself and the more that I started to activate more of my own heart, and I felt like my heart just come to this complete, into this wholeness, like it united in itself. Like, bringing the divine feminine and divine masculine, of course, doing other work with others too. But the more that I was doing it, I was just binding it together and it was becoming into this solid, strong state. There's a maintenance that goes with it too. But with the strength of your own like heart and being in that heart center really helps us keep into this balance. So that's how I landed in the Sacred Heart awakenings, aspect of this.
Beautiful. And we hear that story so many times that when we clear ourselves from these patterns and heal from the, I don't want to say burdens of life in the 3D, but they really are burdens,
Yes.
that we really do flourish our gifts. When you began to channel light language, and we have heard over the years that people spontaneously begin speaking light language. Others do, it's different, and light language is not just vocal, right? It could be toning, it could be drawing or painting. It could be through art as well. Like we could see light language in the ocean foam on the water. So what is light language in your definition or your understanding of it? And how did you trust it? I'm sure you were in a course that taught you how to bring it forth, but did you trust it completely? Or was there your ego mind popping up, coming into?
First, yeah, it was very hard initially because that's why I was doing it on my own at first, because I really didn't think that there was anything going on. And so I, of course, wasn't a lot of doubt, and there's so much doubt that was eating me up and over analyzing it, that to the point that I really had to like surrender to and just put it aside, just really trust from the heart that this was coming through. And so just the more that I practiced it on myself, the more I started to feel inside of myself that this was coming through. And of course, it wasn't like at first, when I was first speaking it, it was just coming out, sound and vibration. And I wasn't sure what it was doing or what kind of language it was until much later, until the dragons were connecting more with me. I think, usually what happens is when we get so much in our head, we're missing all the information from our heart. When we put ourselves in a calm state, right? and really tune into our heart center, we can actually connect with our own guides, whoever they may be, for you. And they will speak to you through your heart as well, and share, messages, also coming from your higher source, guidance, and sharing with you what you're channeling. And it's just a matter of trusting that. And it's just like letting go that aspect of the over analytical, the ego side, to like getting in the way, what's going on. So yeah, I don't know if that helps some of the listeners.
Yeah, it really does, because and this takes us into the next phase of our discussion. How do you tell when you're in your head and your heart? And when we begin to study that, or become aware of when we're in our head versus our heart, do you find that the messages are totally different? I do.
Yes.
It's like, wow, it's totally
Yes.
different. And that could be
Very.
confusing to some, because we've been programmed here in this 3D and society. The societal norms will say we should do something, or this is the way other people do it. And so when we listen to the heart, and the heart is giving us information that just is so, it feels so good, and we know it's in the heart, but it goes against what the mind is saying. How do you deal with that? How can people navigate through that? What do they do? Just surrender?
Yeah, I mean, surrendering, right? It just sounds easy to say, right? Because believe me, I've been there myself. Like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing about this surrendering and releasing. And the thing that I've noticed, that when you're in too much in your head and not in your heart center, is that I would feel my heart tighten. You know, it's like it feels disconnected to me. And so, now that I've become more aware of it, but when the one method to help with, really jumping into your heart center and just not acting out of like reactionary, right? Because we have our own emotions. Sometimes we get very reactionary, is to just first take a really deep breath and, just take inhale and just try to hold it as long as you can. And then just exhale, just release. And then you can just feel, just imagine yourself jumping, falling into your own heart center and connecting with it and bringing yourself into this state of like calmness. And, you can keep doing that breath work, right? Just a simple inhale, and just releasing it and just falling into your own heart center, and just keep, building that awareness, and just being conscious of you doing that. And the more that you do it, the more that you will start to feel into your heart center. And then once you feel like you really are within your heart center, then you can really ask, okay, is this coming from my ego side, or is this coming from my higher self? So that's, one of the techniques that I use.
Very good. Wonderful. Thank you. You have mentioned the dragons. Can you expand on the dragons? You mentioned that you were in Bosnia and you stepped into the dragon pyramid. That story is fascinating. Share that with us and give us any insight why we can work with the dragon energy again, and why it's prevalent for us now.
Oh, I love this question. Yes. Thank you. So when I was in Bosnia, this was like back 2019, I went to an event of 80 people or so, but there was like a few of us, like 22 of us in total, that went on our own private tour to the Dragon Pyramid. We were all being called to the Dragon Pyramid, those 22. And during the time that I was in Bosnia, actually, before that, I kept waking up in the middle of the night because the energy was pretty intense. We were near the pyramids there. And I was connecting a lot with the Dragon Pyramid already. And so when we ended up going to the pyramid and setting foot, I immediately felt that my light language transmission was coming in more polished. And when we reached the top of the pyramid, that we had to like walk all the way to the top, we received an initiation from the dragons, from the inner dragons within the inner earth, and also from the Lyran dragons. And they descended, they came down and so greeted us and met us for the group that was there at the top. And so that was also an activation for that pyramid itself, because there's been a lot of the pyramids in Bosnia, they're being discovered now, and they have been dormant for some time. And so when we went there, we were helping activate some of that, to reactivate it, in other words, and wake it up again, which, expands into the grid system of the earth and so forth. And so that's really, from my story, where I felt the deeper connection with the dragons. So ever since then, the dragons have been, working with me. And it's a kingdom, right? It has its own like hierarchy, and the dragons have existed with us for eons in the earth before, we were separated, and we went into a 3D, third dimensional. And now that we are, again, going into these higher vibrational energies that we're calling 5D, but it's really can go higher than that, right? We're expanding, we're growing. The kingdom of the dragon is returning, so because they had parted ways before. They had kind of been around, but in a different, dimension. But now that we are also rising in our frequency and energy, they're coming to meet us. And they're also helping us to ascend, to really connect more with them. And they're willing to help us as well. Now, their energy can also be intense. So when they really, when they channel through me, when I channel them through the light language, they really go at like multiple layers, is what they've told me, of like karmic and ancestral. And it's very, very powerful. And so what I have felt with them, the connection that I have also with them, is they're part of my star family. So I feel like in some past life I was a dragon too. I was part of them. So now they are also part of my guides, and I feel kind of part of my ancestors too, because our star families also like, ancestors as well, coming from stars and the galactic selves that we are. And so yeah, so that's the thing about the dragons, is they're here now. They want to connect with us, if you're willing, of course. And they, I feel like even the ones who are like here in this show have their own like dragon guide.
Very cool. All right, we are going to experience in a moment or two a session, a little mini experience with you, and we'll get a taste of the dragons coming through in the light language. It's very interesting, the support that we feel from the dragons. So what you were sharing, by the way, I love the 22, the 22 number. Here we are.
Yes.
In this year of 222, in this month of 222.
Yes, it's perfect. You're right.
And, the dragons are coming forward from that. They're very supportive in the sense that I just want to share a quick note that one time I needed support. I needed heart support, like being anchored in the heart, being a strength, a courage. Let's call it courage of the heart. And I saw dragons through the clouds, in cloud shapes. That's something too, right? That's another way of the multidimensionality of them presenting in that way. That's cool.
Yes, very much, very much. Thank you.
Oh, and then there was a flood in Boulder, and there was a tree trunk. The tree had fallen over, but the roots of the tree trunk came up, and there was a dragon head with a little beard and everything.
Oh, wow.
And that dragon stayed as a gateway on that footpath for about 5 years until they came and cleaned it. And then they cleaned it and they removed the log. And I was like, it had already decided to disintegrate the log. I was ready to just say, give me that log. I'm taking it to my yard. I wasn't able to do that. but the time they're connecting with that, and everyone saw it, even children, they were like, that's a dragon. So we just have to smile at that, even if it was an inanimate object. Tree's not inanimate, but it was just
Right.
there and so obvious. Do you find that the dragon wisdom is of strength and courage?
Yes, and empowerment is what I feel, from them. So they want to empower us starting through the heart, and working its way throughout ourselves in our whole body, because that to me is like the heart center, is like the place to start for everything else to come together. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, wonderful, fascinating. So before we get to your light language activation, I wanted to have you share about this Lemurian connection again. You mentioned that you were a little girl and you read a book and you felt that connection then. Do you recall the book? Was the book on Lemuria or what happened there? How did that
It,
unfold for you?
yeah, it was about Lemuria, and it was titled The Lost Continent of Lemuria. And I can't remember the author right now. This was like so long
Is it
ago.
Churchill?
It may have
Church?
been. Yeah, it may have been, but it's like it was
Okay.
written like so long ago, but
Yeah, like
I
in the
got a
early
hold
nine,
of a copy.
okay, early
Yeah, early
1900s.
1900.
Uh-huh, that's it. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
Yeah, and so somehow I got a copy of it. There's no coincidence for the things that occur in our life. There's a reason why, we meet the people we meet. There's a reason why we get introduced to certain like books. Like that one in particular, that one called to my attention, and I picked it up and I read it like over and over again. Like I just couldn't put it down. I just wanted to know more.
And
I
what was your age at that time?
would say I was about 11 years old.
Wow,
Yeah.
another magical number. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. So it was very, in a way, when we remember, when we pick up something that we feel we resonate with, and we start to remember, we're also self-activating ourselves and self-empowering ourselves. So that's something also to know, in case, we are in these doubts as to why, we're picking up something, or why is it that I'm seeing this right now. There's a reason for it, and so that's why it's important to like really be in your heart center, to really build on your own trust and your own intuition, because with these changing times of ascension energy, we need more of our heart center, and things are just going to get all over the place. And so that's why, we're being called now to step into our hearts fully embodied.
Yes, it really is amazing. And again, as we mentioned in the beginning, following the call of the heart, no matter what that ego mind or the mind
Mm-hmm.
is saying to us, even when it goes against societal norms, that
Mm-hmm.
really is the challenge. So there's also, this is connected to self-love as well. This heart center allows us to feel love or feed ourselves love like no one else can.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about the blend of the masculine and the feminine. Can you expand a little bit more on this? And the Divine Mother has come and said some things to you as well. Maybe you want to add some of that. But what's going on here with the mixture of the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine in the
Mm-hmm.
Sacred Heart Center?
Yeah, thank you. So yes, the Sacred Heart is a mixture of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we have been, in a way, the divine feminine has been distorted in some ways, or, it's been pretty much separated. We've been sabotaged in many ways with, all the lifetimes experiences that we had as humans. And so now the divine feminine, of course, I feel is the first one that is rising right now. And it is an energy of inclusiveness, of flowing, of trusting and being in your intuition. And so as part of that, we have the masculine energy of where I feel that's the next one that is now starting to evolve, because we've had too much of this patriarch energy that felt, too controlling or too separated and so disconnected. So I feel that the divine feminine energy is helping with evolving, let's just say, this patriarch energy into the divine masculine. And the union of the two, which I feel starts in the heart center, but it also works with all the other chakras as well in your whole body, is what I call the twin flame energy, is the union of these two, which is also what the alchemists would say, alchemical wedding. And so, it's been called different things in different lifetimes, in the different journeys of the Middle Ages. The alchemists would hide their information in pictures, and they would show the union of a man and a woman, but they're really talking about divine masculine, divine feminine, and being the alchemical wedding within our heart. And so that is, where we're being called, is to have this union inside of our heart first. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have twin flame relationship. It just means that, it could strengthen your current relationships, strengthen, whoever soulmate, divine partner, but also strengthen your life in that way too, because you do need both energies. And it's not just in the heart, but it's throughout your whole body. But to me, that's where I start. So the Divine Mother, it's a message from the Divine Mother. So we have, I've been feeling her calling now very strongly, that she wanted to come through also for this show. So we're going to have some of the dragon also, but also Divine Mother. She's very much, I feel like we've been disconnected from our own inner Divine Mother. And so she is the core essence of our heart. And I feel like there is an aspect of the mother within us that we need to cultivate and expand as well in the heart, to really help us also build this wholeness of us in our higher self, in our deeper connection. And it's so appropriate, right, that today is the solstice, that we're talking about Divine Mother, because we're also jumping into the zodiac sign of Cancer. Cancer, to me, it feels very motherly, and it feels very nurturing. So I feel like that is an aspect of the Divine Mother as well. So I feel that this is, appropriate for her to be here right now and to be sharing this message. She's really just calling all of us to our own hearts, calling us back to our own home, being within our own heart. So our mother, our inner mother, is calling us.
And if we take a moment and pause and feel into the Divine Mother, I'm going to cry right now, it feels, because there's just such that love of a knowingness.
Yes.
And I'm going to cry right now. It is a knowingness, and it's what I know so deep down, that it is the way forward. It is the path.
Yes.
And everyone watching and listening to this knows it as well, whether they're aware of it or not right now.
Yes. Yes.
And everyone watching and listening is a new earth teacher. And I just want to take a moment and honor everyone there, because as we get this more and more, we will see this shift. And the Divine Mother's love is so precious and so pure. To me, that really is what Lemuria was before things got a little distorted and advanced out of control.
Yes.
What do you remember? Let's talk before we get to your activation. What do you remember about Lemuria deep down inside you?
So there's a lot of visions that I get. I remember being outdoors mainly and being with the animals a lot. So my priestess ability is to work with the animals, like two-way energy communication. So where the animals will receive some of the energies from their galactic source planet, so that they're able to sustain themselves here on the earth. And in the same way with them, they will communicate through me and communicate to their home planet. So it's really like a two-way exchange of energy. And I'm still doing that in a way, over here, I was just talking, I was seeing like this vision of the bees. Actually, the bees wanted to, were, I was just sensing them. So I feel like, the presence of the bee is very, very strong. There's something about the bee to me that the message they're saying is about resilience, keeping the resilience of the heart, the strength, because they endure a lot. If you think about it right now, it's this harsh environment. And so they built this resilience. So that's the message that I'm getting from them. Just as I was speaking, I was getting this message from them. So, but yeah, so that's what I remember from Lemuria is really the connection that I was having with all the animals, with just the rituals, being in temples of all kinds, and just feeling it, mostly like the energy of it, the oneness and the unity and the whole consciousness of and I still feel it inside of me as if it's alive, and it really is.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And all the other lovers of Lemuria or Lemurians who are watching have their own experiences. And so you sharing just helps us understand that even more. Again, we do know what we know within ourselves. So I love that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So tell us about an activation that you're going to do for us.
So I'm definitely feeling the Divine Mother very strongly. I'll see about, the dragons coming in maybe after her, because she's been really calling in, this heart that she wants to bring in for the heart, for a lot of us, that we all need it. We all need the mother connection right now. So she wants to, first of all, we're going to do like a mini guided meditation. We're just going to jump into it. So just follow along. So we're just going to place our hands over our hearts. It could be like either just one hand or both. And what we're going to do, right? This is new for even some of the clients that haven't worked, but this is what I was getting from her is that we're actually going to activate some of the chakra points within the hand to connect with the heart. And because our hands are, have a healing ability in them. And there's some encodements in there where we're feeling down, for instance, we're feeling like hopeless in a way, that we can always place our hands back in our heart to bring in that energy into ourselves and connect with our divine mother, or inner mother within us. So this is, what's coming through right now from her. So let us all just try this right now. Just sit comfortably. And if you're driving, it's okay. Just come back to the, replay. So just tune into your own heart, having your hands over your heart. And let us now just imagine ourselves being held in the arms of the Divine Mother. As each one of us is being held, we are the inner child, feeling the mother presence, the connection within your own heart. So now we're going to switch on an aspect of your hand chakras, chakra points in your hand, to feel this deepening connection with your own sacred heart. Just allow yourself to receive these energy codes and just feel within your hand this connection to your heart. Just take a deep breath and just feel this. Feeling your own healing energy from your hands pouring into your heart and connecting into your own sacred heart. Calming any worries, any drama, or any trauma. It's all just washing away. Well, I was feeling it. I felt good. So I hope that this was helpful to others. I want to take a short pause there, and I want to like bombard too much energy, but that was coming from the Divine Mother.
It felt very fairy-like in a way. The light language. What is your take on that? What did you sense of that? Was it mostly the Divine Mother, light language?
Yes, it was feeling Divine Mother to me. I was seeing her visually, so I usually close my eyes, but I was feeling her connection. So I don't know if anybody else was feeling that.
Well, we are feeling the love, that is for sure. We are at a deep peace. I hope everyone is feeling that love and that peace. And when we're here in that space, there's no worries, there's no doubt. And that's how we know that we're fully in the heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
that
so
peace and tranquility.
our hands are activated.
Yes.
We can go out to the world now and
Yes,
share it.
you could share it with others as well. But most of all, you know, when we're get into the space of feeling down and we need some energy boost or some comfort or some compassion, then we have our hands to like really just place in our hands and just feel into this energy. So she was helping to connect that more so with our hands.
Beautiful. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for that. Very high vibrational. And folks can come back to this again at any moment with the hands on the heart. There's no need to be despair. This is how we self-regulate in these times. Because in the mind, we'll go back and talk about how the mind can distort us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the mind is bad, right? It is
Right.
that we feel the knowingness. It's a difference between feeling and thinking. And we can think that we're doing something right or we're doing something wrong. Or like I like to use the example of when we have heart-centered ideas, heart mission ideas, it's in the heart. We know based on what we feel that an idea, let's say a new earth idea, is a great idea, but yet our thinking mind will come in and say, you don't have the resources for that, you don't have the skills for that. All these endless ways that the mind can stomp their muddy boots all over this heart dream. So really it's just coming back and anchoring in the heart in the midst of all of it. Do you find that doing this, you're shown that you're right on with the heart, that the heart always is the right answer?
So I'm just gonna say that I trust it. Because honestly, I don't really think there really is anything that's right or wrong. I just feel that, we all go through our own journey, and it's just a matter of just trusting where you feel that you are in your own heart and soul alignment that is right, that is in the path for you, in that moment. So it's really, and that's when you tune into your own heart center, it tells you whether this is the pathway to go, because the heart is connected to your own soul as well. Your soul has this own encodes, and it knows the purpose. It knows, which pathway you're meant to be on for this lifetime, and what lessons need to be learned as well. Because we also come with our own soul contracts and agreements before even incarnating in this life, that we say, I'm going to learn this lesson in this lifetime. And so that's why our guides who are with us also connect with us to your own heart. And that's why they're called guides, because they're guiding us, So the way to also distinguish, with the ego or the higher self is the higher self is a very loving energy. It's not going to tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, or force you to do something. Also, it's going to come in with guidance, with, here, this is the best way, or this is, something that would be in a soul alignment with you. And it's also not forced, because sometimes when there's resistance in things, we're trying to like really force our way to make something happen in our, the way that we think that it should happen, or when we get so attached to the expectation that it has to happen exactly like this. And then that's when we get into this like heartbreaks in a way. And so I feel like it really isn't about being right or wrong. It's just really just being with your own heart and just trusting it, of your own soul connection. And I'm seeing some of the comments here.
Yeah, that again, that explains why we know what we know within, and why the feeling of the heart is our GPS. You call it our GPS system. I love it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, expand more on that, because that, as we opened our show, that's the number one question. How do we know when we're following the heart? I mean, this goes into every decision. It can go into, especially when it goes up against societal norms and beliefs and vows that maybe we took. It's like,
Yes.
wow, but if and if we can say, okay, when I'm in my head, I think this way, but when I'm in my heart, it feels so right. But my head is saying it's wrong. So how do you use your heart as a GPS?
Yeah, so the heart GPS is what I call it, is really based on what I showed, earlier about the technique about breathing in and really just stepping more into your heart and just being in a state of calmness and just minimizing the noise up in your head, just kind of lowering it. Like meditation is one way, right? Because meditation, the practice of meditation, that's really what it is, to really put you in focus, but be more intentional, right? Setting that intention that I, call upon my higher self within my own heart, my God self within, and, just being with it and saying, is this the way for me, the pathway for me? And you could do this, right? It's a practice, asking yourself these questions in your own heart. And you could do it as a journaling also, and tapping into your heart center and asking, is this the way for me? Is this the, pathway that I need to take? is this the relationship for me right now? And if you're going through some, say, emotional pain, and say that you're feeling this pain, you can ask, what do I need to learn from this emotion at this time? And that takes a lot of work. Of course, you have to like kind of keep doing it and just trusting with it and just being as much as you can with it. And then now that you have your hands, you can also bring in your activation from that. Just put it over your hands, and the Divine Mother will connect with you more. So is what I'm feeling. And so I'm feeling the dragons actually, that when they come through, they want to anchor in some new encodements in the heart, to help with some of this doubt as well, and help with the heart GPS to really step more into your inner intuition and trust. So like it's like a heart strengthening, let's just say. So if I may, Lauren, do this with everybody. So this will definitely sound different, because definitely sound very dragony. So again, you could just put your hands over your heart if you can. Strengthen your heart. So allow yourself to receive from the dragons. Sakanaka sukti sakanako sinakatasihusa. Suashi sakunakata sakayota sakiatu sikiata sa. Usikau sakau nyaku. Yakusaka, 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 Usakunakatasiwata Sakyakusanakasa. Anchoring that in. Feeling that strength of your own heart strength coming from your own soul essence, your own love within your soul, and that purity. Take a deep breath. Beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is fortifying, fortifying. There's a deep peace, but there's courage and bravery and strength now.
Yes, yes, I feel that very much. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so again, this feeling of being in the heart, anchoring the heart, moving and navigating from our hearts is what we're talking about in this show today. And we can, I want to share a quick little tidbit as well, is that one of my ways of learning to read the heart or stay in the heart was through the elementals or nature. Nature often mirrors back. Birds mirror back. Crows, particularly for me, crows. I'll make a long story short. I was driving one day, or before we left on this road trip, there were a bunch of crows that flew past my office window, and I took note of them. And then on this long car drive, the crows, they were flying right alongside my car. Sometimes they'd fly right in front of my car. And finally, once I tuned in to say, what's going on here? By being in the heart, I heard, You're not in your heart. We're here to remind you to be in your heart. And then every time I would see crows, like a lot of crows, I'd look, and where was I? I was not in my heart. So it's different for each of us, but this is how we know, and this is how we build our own trust within ourselves. Isn't
That
that
is so
fascinating?
beautiful. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, we all have our own way of doing it, and some of the techniques I share, also like things that I've tried on myself. And now that you mentioned nature, I was remembering that when I went through my divorce, that was the thing that I did the most. Like every weekend, I would spend my time at a mountain and hike for like a really long time. And so what nature, was doing was that it was naturally gravitating my heart center, into this vibrational frequency. And so this, I feel that this is a reminder for all of us because right now the earth has really it's ascending at a higher vibrational energy, so that when we go outside now, it's really going to attune us even more into the heart frequency energy of our own heart center. So the more that we can spend outside. So it's a great reminder. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, nature is the universe in action. Yes, okay. I want to share a couple of comments, and I'd like to also say for our Zoom audience, if you have a question about this topic today for Monica, you can raise your hand or you can put it in our chat box. In the meantime, or the kind while, I'd like to share some comments. We have Barb who shared on the first Divine Mother light language activation. She says, I saw a rose and opened my arms out and saw a dragon on my left. I spoke
Oh,
some
wow.
light language. She says, I've been speaking it for many years, and she saw a dragon of love.
Oh, that's so
Very
beautiful.
cool. And she also shares that crows are significant for her. She says, I saw a flock before and then after I had made a native drum, going to and from the town where I was going to the drum making workshop. Yeah, the crows, our thinking mind
Yes.
would pull in the maybe a 3D element of they're scary or beware, they're an omen. But when I tuned into my heart, it was very clear. The
Hmm.
message was stay in your heart. And then every time I would see them, I would realize I was just in my head. And this was at a time where it was like in the middle of you know what recently. And so it was kind of an episode where um, I was gaslighting myself. And so what does
Mm,
that do? That puts us back in our head. And
yes.
so that was just part of my own journey moving into the heart. And I do have to say, it's exhausting being in the head.
It's
It's
draining.
absolutely exhausting, you know? And
Yes.
so as we navigate forward, your mission to put people in the heart is really helping them make decisions from the heart.
Hmm.
And that is, again, tapped into their internal wisdom, their higher self guidance, the divine mother
Yes.
guidance. And I see a
Yes.
world where everyone is there. I know it
Yes.
doesn't seem that way, but that's why everyone here is a new earth teacher, because everyone's doing their part. Everyone who gets this message and understands it is doing their part to spread it around the
Hmm.
world. And isn't that
Very much.
magnificent?
It
Mhm.
is beautiful and it's magical. Is what I feel, a lot of magic. There's a lot of magic to the heart also. And it's very alchemizing and transformative. I see a lot of the alchemical fires as well when it's in its sacred heart state and wholeness. So the more that we practice, in our own way, what works for us, it could be some of the tools that we're sharing here. Um, that the more that we really just become more consciously aware and, in that moment to really set the intention to be in our heart center, the more that we'll become our own masters of it, mastery of like just naturally flowing in there without having to think about it anymore, and you'll just naturally be in that balanced state of having your own trust, your own heart GPS, and being in your own heart purpose also. So I call it, our soul knows the purpose, but when the heart is really reconnected back into the soul essence, you have a heart purpose, and that comes through with like passion, you know, because you trust that this is what you're doing here. So
And for me, it brings tears as well. I know other people may have that or experience it in a different way. This like goosebumps or God bumps. We know what we know within, and when we're connected in that way, there's no room for doubt. And the thinking mind will come in and put more weight on our worries and our doubts than our heart dream. So that is a journey that we are moving through, and we'll get there. Everyone will get there, one heart at a time. Yes.
yes, one heart at a time. I love that.
Okay. You had mentioned alchemical fires. You've seen alchemical fires. Can you explain a little bit more of what you mean by that?
So the flames of the heart is really how I see it. You know how I don't know if you've ever seen an image of a sacred heart. So a lot of times, what let's just say like in the church they have like Jesus, right? And they show him with this heart, and they call it the sacred heart, and there's flames. Well, those flames are real, but the sacred heart is actually in all of us. It's not just in the ascended master Jesus. And so to me, what the sacred heart is the heart of the ascended ones, so you essentially are becoming like your own ascended version with your own sacred heart. And in those flames of, they are the flames of transmutation. So we can still feel right in this human body. But what happens is that when there's something that's a drama or something that happens, those flames can step in and help to ease, that pain and circulate it and transmute it. Because really the shadows are still part of us, right? They just get transformed into something else, something lighter. And so that's how I see them, as being these alchemical flames of transmutation, of, changing and shifting these any energies that are not, in our own alignment, and that need to be shifted into these higher frequencies of energy, which are lighter, more joyful in the love, aspect of it. But yeah, that's how I see it, as this alchemical flames of transmutation.
Beautiful. Wonderful. So we were also chatting recently about the energies recently, and it seems like the energies will buffer us or buffet us, like push us or kind of, yeah, like pressure us into the heart. So
Yes.
if we're, so really that's the importance of it. And here
Mm-hmm.
we are on the solstice. Here we are in 2022, midway through the year. What is your take on these energies that we're currently experiencing and being in the heart? Because when you're in the heart, there's nothing else to do. There's no one else to answer to. The thinking mind is at rest. So, any take on the energies that are supporting this effort?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I would say that, the whole pushing and the buffering us and all the energy stuff, really, to me, that started when we got into the pandemic at a very full, high peak, and everybody was quarantined and forced into their homes. And in a way, we were being encouraged to be in our heart center at that point, because, as the heart is also breaking, it's also being a catalyst into like being more in our heart and working more with our heart. And so with the energies now, in the present moment that we're in right now, 2022, is all 222, right? Those numbers equal to 6. And actually the number 6 is the heart. It's a symbol of the heart. And so the emphasis is the heart this year. And so that's really what the astrological planets themselves are also emphasizing this. A lot of the energies that are coming in are more to be more emphasis on the heart center. And this will continue to expand even more so. But I feel like for 2022 is kind of like that initiation of like stepping or being aware more of our own heart embodiment and strengthening that heart moving forward. And so that's why it's very important that, you know, we become aware of this now, the ones who are listening to this message, to really work on this and really be called back into your own home, into your own soul, which is really your home. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have to be at rest in our heart. We have to be at rest in our heart. And the thinking mind, we might want to call it the ego mind. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask a question that Linda submitted here because she brings up a really good point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the thinking mind, the ego mind, the less than mind, that's different than maybe the higher mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that can really um, take us out of the heart and not allow us to rest in the heart. So Linda's question says, any suggestions for inviting or enticing the mind to join in the radiance and the beauty rather than fighting
Mm-hmm.
it?
I
Yes.
love that question. Yes. So we're not killing the ego. So I don't really like to say that we're killing it. I like to say that we're joining forces. So we are also in a union. So just like your heart is in the union of itself, there's also other components of us, like our ego and our higher self, that can also come in this union of alchemical wedding. And so really the ego can be transmuted to work in joint, you know, jointly in union with the heart, with the higher self, in other words, to be able to take the action that is needed with the intuitive flow that comes in. So we have the intuition, right, which is the divine aspect, the divine feminine aspect of us, right? The divine masculine is the one that takes the action and builds the structures to be able and keep it safe, you know, for whatever message is coming through that needs to be acted on. Then you're forming that, the beauty of the two unions to work together to fulfill, say, a purpose, to fulfill, you know, some lesson that needs to be learned in this lifetime. And so when they work in harmony and in together, then you're bringing the two together in this union. To me, this is, you know, the beauty and the radiance of it. So it's just really bringing in those, the union of the elements of the two. So I hope that answers the question. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, it totally does. And as you were speaking, I saw the infinity symbol, and it is weaving the infinity symbol between the heart and the mind.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
honoring the mind. So thank you, Linda. Really good. We're not here to resist the
Very
mind.
good. No,
It does protect us, you know. We do need our
it's
mind.
very important. Yes, it's very important. Don't resist anything that's coming up, you know. You want to work together. And that's one of the things that I also learned myself when I felt that, oh, this shadow, I can't stand it anymore. And, you know, just there was this battle inside of me. I kept resisting it, that I didn't want to see it, I didn't want to hear it. And then eventually I said, no, I just have to accept this. So I, you know, constantly keep reminding myself, I accept all aspects of myself. And this is also an aspect of the self-love, right? Even the shadows need love too, because they keep showing up because they need attention. They need this love as well. And the more that I started to acknowledge it and to give it love, the more it lessened. And I felt like them come together into this, you know, formation where they like working as a joint partners.
I love it. Partners. We are partners again. So thank you, Linda, for that.
Yes.
So you work with clients. Again, you are an intuitive quantum energy healer. And we're going to take a question from Beth. Beth has a question, and I'm going to unmute Beth. So, Beth, you can unmute yourself and ask your question when you're ready. Very good. Do we still have Beth?
Hello.
Hi, Beth. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm in the middle of doing the recycling here, but I just caught you.
Good for recycling. The earth thanks you.
Yes.
Yes, Monica, I've had a series of heart events called takasubos. I don't know if you've heard of them because not too many people have, but it's something that tends to happen to postmenopausal women, and strong hormones from the adrenal glands just hit the heart, shock it and make it swell up. And it's pretty much like a heart attack, you know, it's quite serious and you can pass away from it. Fortunately, I've survived 5, but I don't know how many more I will survive. And I just wondered if you could pick anything up about why that might be happening to me.
Oh, thank you for the question. And I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Thank you.
So it feels like I was feeling the Divine Mother again, actually. And, you know, there's this aspect of the heart. It's just, it feels like it's, you know, disconnected from the soul essence. So it's just more bringing in more of your own soul energy into it to really assist with what's going on. Because I feel like a lot of things that we feel in the physical form through this ascension, there's like ascension symptoms, you know, that manifest themselves as physical ailments. So there's an aspect of that I was just feeling from the Divine Mother. And yeah, so I don't know, do you want to receive some of these energy codes to help you to ease some of your pain? So the Divine Mother wants to ease some of this pain for you. So this will appear in whatever way, you know, that, so just feel into your heart and I'm not going to ease this for you. Saku sakiaku sanakasa niya sukanakatiasa niya sakunayasasa usaku siakasya wamatyasa usasia susasia sia sia sia. And what we're doing is rewiring something within your sacral area, your heart area, and reconnecting it to your soul. And I'm also like starting to see this infinity sign also with sacral and the heart. And you know, the sacral is where there's our for the women, you know, the ovaries and all that.
I've had a lot of abandonments in my life, and I think my sacral is pretty messed up.
Yeah. So feeling this right now through your heart and your sacral, we're bringing in your own Divine Mother within to feel this connection again and not feel so abandoned, you know. So dissolving this feeling of it. Siakunaki sakunakyasa. Siaku sikiaku sunakatikaku. Sakatiku sikataku sikatiku. Risakunakyatsuki yakusi. Usiasu yaktika umyatika sakunakyatasa. Niesu siknakdiasunakayatasa. Nyasaku. So doing this figure 8 right now from your heart to your sacral area. Doing this connection with your heart and your sacral. Feeling now that I'm feeling in the sacral area, there's a lot of love that's pouring in, but it's also helping dissolve some of these old patterns within your sacral area too. Are you feeling this, Beth?
Yes, I got very hot and I was gulping as well, so something is definitely being processed there.
Yeah, and you can always come back to this and re-listen to it. Of course, you can do this yourself too, the figure 8 that I'm doing from your heart to your sacral.
I'm wearing my figure 8 earrings today.
It's perfect. So anybody
have
else
a-
can do this too.
I have this real feeling that as long as I always wear figure eights, I'll survive.
Yes, so it's definitely beautiful. So thank you for this. Yeah, so just keep doing that, the figure eight as long as you like and feel.
I will. Thank you,
It's
Monica.
it's like a movement
I'll
of
come
the
back to
energy.
it as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
Beth. Thank you.
Thanks.
Your experience helped everyone. Thank you.
It did, yes, very much. Thank you for that.
Beautiful. And that was a little experience. We get to witness how you give energy codes to your clients in personal sessions, how you bring
Yes.
forward your intuitiveness to assist someone on their journey with their own energy. And this is energy work. We're bringing in a higher resonance of energy, which will move out the old patterning, traumas, things like that, denser energy. So let's talk a little bit. Oh, I wanted to share one quick comment from Rose, beautiful Rose. I saw a beautiful portal open and many dragons with pink rays going out to all of love, all of us. And it was full of
Yay.
love. Isn't
I
that
love it
cool?
and I felt it. Yes.
You felt it.
I did feel it, yes.
Divine Mother's love assisted with the dragons with pink rays. Okay. So this is a beautiful time to share about how people can work with you. You do one-on-ones with people, and
Yes.
it's longer length of what we witnessed here.
Yes.
And what you can tell us what goes on in those light language or those personal sessions. I'm sure light language comes through and energy codes as well.
Yes, it's very unique to everybody who comes in on private, right? Like with Beth just now, that was very unique. And so definitely a lot of the light language comes in, and I just go with the intuition, just like now, with the flow of the divine feminine and whatever wants to come through. So it could be, the dragons want to come in, they want to work at a much deeper level. It could be other, the ascended masters themselves, and the divine mother, of course, Kuan Yin, I've seen, and so they all come also with some aspects of the dragons, and so do the angels. Because the other thing I wanted to mention about the dragons is that they're in the same, I would say, frequency as the angels themselves. And a lot of the angels also work with the dragons, a lot. And so, yeah, so that's, what a private session is very different for everybody. It's always very unique.
And how long is that session?
It's 1 hour.
It's an hour. A lot
Yeah,
can be covered in 1 hour.
a
Yes,
lot, yes.
a lot. So after a session or before a session, is there anything that people need to do or be aware of?
No, I mean, really just what I do personally before I jump on, I set the intention, and I do a lot of prayer meditation and setting the intention to really be for the highest good of the one who's receiving and the highest good for others, as well as the highest good of those who are around them. And so that's how I also open it up before starting. And so whatever they feel they need, in that moment, we can share and talk about what's coming up for them at that time and what's needed. And sometimes, I just pick up right away that there's this energy that just really needs to be worked, this time. So yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And I kind of started with the personal session first, because I think that's just very special, and folks who need that can really benefit from it. You're a beautiful person to assist in that way. But you've also got some digital recordings, and these are very cool because they're working with the dragon energy. So tell us about the dragon digital recordings that you've got.
Yeah, so I did a group recording at the beginning of the year. It's called the Dragon Sacred Heart Activation Program. And so it's really going to go much deeper into the Sacred Heart. what we just shared in here as far as like the quantum strengthening is going to go at a much more quantum level in these transmissions, to really embody more of your own sacred heart and be more in this trust of yourself. And I had, many of the clients who were there felt this tremendous shift from their grief, because they were feeling a lot of grief come up. And immediately after the program, they felt so much lighter and more relaxed and more balanced and more in their hearts. And they were also seeing a lot of dragons too in their sleep. So like, as you listen to these transmissions, right, it also keeps working with you in your sleep. And throughout, for like the months to come, they will continue to work with you. It's kind of like a intelligent type language, of its own. It just kind of keeps building on its own, and it's building because of these quantum energies that are, streaming into the earth. They're, mixing with our cells and our DNA, and they're coming together, and they're just facilitating more so at a quantum level. So yes.
And I just want to share a few of the topics: money block removals and money activations. That's really good and fortifying for new earth leaders stepping into mastery to overcome that. Also, relationship heartbreaks and heart activations. And there's a sacred heart activation and a sacred heart temple initiation. Wow.
Yes.
Anything you want to share on any of those?
Yeah, so I always start with the money empowerments, because we've all been going through a lot of heartbreaks with the finance system. And so I bring in some of the goddess energy, goddess Lakshmi, and the dragons. The dragons are also known for protecting finances and treasures also, in case anybody knew that. And so we bring in some of these encodements embedded within the heart, to really activate more of our own abundance, because we already are abundant. It's just a matter of knowing that and trusting it. And then the program also digs into like certain vows that we've made in past lives. This could be vows of celibacy. If we've had like certain relationships in this lifetime that we haven't like really polished, even though in time we may have forgotten about it or not feel it as much, it's still like, if there was trauma there, it could still be hidden at a subconscious level deep within ourselves. And so what these energy codes do when the dragons do come in to transmute, they go at a much deeper, multiple layers of that in the subconscious level to clear a lot of that, whatever is hiding under the rug, for instance. And so with that, then, I jump into the activations, which leads up to the initiation. And this is at the Sirius Sacred Heart temple that, we actually go into this like astral bodies ourselves and take a trip to the Syrian temple and receive this type of initiation from, through our higher self within our own heart, and anchoring more of that sacred heart within us to reconnect us deeper and renew our whole chakra system, because that's really what it is. We're rebuilding and renewing it to a newer state. And of course, I also work with the divine feminine, the divine masculine energy in there as well. And yeah, so that's really what's going on with the program.
Beautiful. Each of those are 90 minutes and they are immediate downloads. So people can download those and listen anytime, as many times as possible. And we know that on a quantum level, there's always more information to receive. As you go back and listen to the activations again, we get what we need in that spiral of evolution. It's always working with us. And I love that people were having dreams with the dragons, and we'll start to see the dragons again.
A lot more. Yes. Especially if you listen to these transmissions, you'll definitely be connecting a lot more with your own dragon. You'll have like your own dragon guide and, supporting you as well.
Beautiful. The link for this is right here on this webpage, and it's in the chat on our Zoom audience box. There's also a bonus that you're including as well, and this is to assist us in our times of vaccination, whether we receive a vaccination or however one in their heart chooses to deal with it. This will help. Tell us about this bonus, please.
So this is an energy transmission that I felt that needed to be shared with everybody because of there's this whole fear of like vaccination having this hurting our bodies. So what the Ascended Masters came through with these energy codes was to facilitate with easing the harmful effects, right, of what the vaccination may cause to our body. And also putting us at ease, you know, that it's okay if you had like no other choice and you really felt that you really needed to have it, you know, to get it, or say that you're around other people who had it, and there's this whole thing about being around people and also feeling the effects. But whatever the case, these encodements are very special because they do work. The Ascended Masters have also worked through the grid system to help the collective humanity to with this. So this is just enhancing it even more stronger in our own grid system so that it minimizes any type of harmful effects in our body. And that includes like any booster vaccination shots that we decide to get as well, right? It also strengthens your immune system from the other viruses, which includes the COVID or anything else that's happening here on this Earth surface. And I listened to it myself. And honestly, when I, you know, listened to it, and then when I got the shot, it felt like I got nothing. Like it felt like it just vaporized and transmuted. That's what it felt like to me.
Beautiful. No fear, no fear. Wonderful. All right, well, that all of those digital recordings come with the option of a personal session with you. And of course, folks can just purchase the downloads if they want to work with those themselves. Both of those options are available. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for being here on our beautiful show today. As you were speaking, I saw the 222 codes on my computer at 2:22
Yay.
my time. So how special and how lovely. We are feeling the love of the Divine Mother. I thank everyone for watching and for being here, receiving these energy codes, for cultivating them within yourself, and for sharing them with our world. I hold the vision with everyone here of that world that we see, the new earth that is a vibration, and we can be that vibration now as we center in the Sacred Heart. That's why this topic is so important. It's pretty simple, but it's not so easy all the time. And Monica, you're helping people make it easy with grace. As we wrap up our show today, I just want to give you a moment to share final thoughts.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for having me on your show. Such an honor to be here with every listener and you, to be sharing this message to humanity, because this is a collective message for all of us. And we need to really embody our heart center and really make an effort and set the intention in every way possible to have the strength, you know, within us to be able to navigate through these changes at this time. And I know that it's hard. It's very challenging right now with all the chaos going on, the spontaneous changes that are so accelerated at a quantum level. But that is why we need more of our heart center. And the Divine Mother within us is calling us back into our own home, in our own home heart center, which is really your own soul essence, your own higher self aspect. It's time to really reconnect. And it's safe to be in our bodies. It's safe to be in body now. So this is the time to really do this work and work with these quantum energies at this time.
Yes, I see that world where everyone is fully anchored in the heart. So keep on keeping on, everyone. And thank you, Monica, for this beautiful episode today, this beautiful connection to the heart and to the Divine Mother and the dragons. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Again, listeners and viewers, thank you for watching and joining us. We so honor your light, and we thank you too for being here. Everyone have a beautiful rest of your day and happy solstice. We love you. Namaste. Bye.
Bye. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.